Hey there everyone, CGF Hotshot here, the UK's local Flash shill. And naturally, because I talk about the Flash a lot on my Twitter and I'm probably going to talk about him a lot on this YouTube channel, I think it's important to talk about probably one of the most key artists when it comes to like the conceptual ideas of the Flash. This is the artist who kind of springs into mind when you think of the visual aesthetic of the Flash, the visual aesthetic of Keystone City, the visual aesthetic of everything. And that, of course, is Scott Kolins. Scott Kolins is an artist of great size and magnitude towards his very essence of popularity. With, of course, his most iconic run being the first half of he and Geoff John's Flash run. And even having more Flash stuff when he came back in 2010 to draw the Flash alongside Francis Manapul, as well as coming back in 2018 to do Joshua Williamson's Flash run when it was on like a rotating cast of artists. And of course he's done other books like Blue Beetle, The Hulk, Suicide Squad, etc. But not Suicide Squad, Shazam and Blue Beetle. There we go. But yeah, Scott Kolins, he kind of burst right into the scene. His first like major issues was a Sins of Youth tie-in. I think that was Wonder Woman, but I'm not too sure. As well as the Flash 160, which was the honeymoon issue, which looks very different to his normal style. I think that's quite obvious. Like his initial work in this one issue of The Flash looks very Paul Pelletier-ish. It looks very standard. But once he develops his own style for The Flash in the upcoming year, basically, it just kind of evolved into being much more pushed into characters' facial expressions, characters' movement, how agile a character can look, how dynamic posing, and even forms of aggression. It very much encapsulated what the Flash book was pursuing and was trying to push with Geoff Johns as the new writer at the time. And Scott Kolins, a lot like many artists, was very much a co-plotter in that sense. He and Geoff Johns would make maps of Keystone City. They would discuss stories together. When Scott needed reference for things to draw, he'd come to Geoff. And Geoff would explain the motivations behind villains. That is something good that Geoff Johns has done, and you won't be hearing me say any praise about Geoff Johns again. But as for Scott Kolins, there is a lot of praise to be said about Scott Kolins. He accidentally came up with the idea of the Zoom lightning symbol to be the reverse of the Flash's lightning symbol, and that was just because he didn't flip the page around. Scott Kolins' initial mistake was what led to creating visual iconography, and that's not something you can say about a lot of artists, that their mistakes evolve into character flourishment, you know? And this was during the peak of his career. Like, this was Blitz he did this in. And then he kind of fell off the Flash book. And the Flash book took a hit because of it, because Scott Kolins wasn't there for a visual reference. Of course, it doesn't help that the arc after Scott Kolins left was Ignition, and not even Scott would have saved Ignition, because Ignition is shit. If you want me to talk about Flash Ignition, I don't know, leave a comment about it down below. But Scott Kolins did then come back when Geoff came back, to design Wally West's Blackest Night suit in Blackest Night, The Flash, along with Ivan Reis, who did Blackest Night in general. And even then, Scott wasn't done. He was co-drawing Flash 2010 alongside Francis Manapul. Scott did the heavy lifting on the Road to Flashpoint arc, and even did a little bit during the New 52 in like an annual. But I think Scott Kolins as an artist is very tailored towards the Flash. This is what he's known for. And whilst he's done other books, he's done, for example, so much. He's done Suicide Squad. He actually did do Suicide Squad, now that I remember it. He did Blue Beetle. He did the Hulk. You know, he has done a lot, and he should deserve recognition for it. But as an artist, he's very much geared towards the Flash. That's what he's known for. That's what he's always come back to. Even last year, he did a page in the latest annual. So it does kind of become upsetting to see that when he returned to the Flash in 2016, as much praise as I'll give Scott Kolins for being always sharp and on point, he lost that visual aesthetic, I feel. It became a lot more rough. It became, I don't want to say lifeless, but, well, Barry never smiles in Williamson's Flash, and this is particularly evident with Scott Kolins' drawing, because even if Barry Allen smiles when Scott Kolins draws him, it's always forced, whereas if Scott was drawing Wally back in the day, the smile was the most natural part of Scott Kolins' artistry, just giving them a big, cheeky smile. But the Flash book suffered because Williamson didn't know how to make Barry happy, and B, every facial expression just kind of became dulled, even when Scott Kolins was drawing, and the colours were muddy, which isn't what's good for Scott Kolins. And it was all just kind of rough, you know? It was rough. It's not as dynamic as Scott Kolins' books normally are. I mean, this is the same Scott Kolins that came up with a visual iconography for how the Speed Force suit should work, like igniting from the lightning eyes in Wally's chest. And I don't get that feeling from his later work, which is such a shame because Scott Kolins is amazing. Is this because Scott's getting old? Is this because he just didn't draw the Flash book for a while and he kind of got in a rhythm? Is it because he got bored? I don't know. Maybe it was because he was busy. I don't know, but we do have to remember him for all the good that he did. And all the good that he did, well, was a lot. He made Hunter Zolomon. He created Hunter Zolomon as Zoom. He created the Reverse Lightning Simple Iconography. He created the visual aesthetic for Wally West's Speed Force suit. He created the Blackest Night suit. Yeah, I'll give that to Scott Kolins. He did create the Blackest Night suit. If you dare question me on that, you will get eviscerated by something, I think. Yeah, this is just a video about Scott Kolins, though. He's a wonderful artist. I do think he's lost his touch as time has gone on, but I would like to see him on a Flash book again. Not anytime soon. I'd still rather Will Conrad, but yeah. Go buy The Flash by Geoff John's books 1, 2, and 3 to see, like, pure artistry from Scott Kolins. Because it's masterful. Right. Leave in the comments below which artists you want to see me cover next, and I'll be sure to do so. In a bit, yeah.